I'm not saying that being convicted of a crime or any crime like disorderly conduct is fun or good day, but relative to a 20-year prison sentence, that's a massive defense win.
Tom, recently I've talked to several USCCA members who, as a result of their self-defense cases, their incidents, ended up taking a plea deal, plead guilty to a lesser crime. And the question has always been, why and when would you want to do that? You did the right thing. You defended yourself. There was a bad guy there, and the way it all shook out was like, man, okay, I got to plead guilty to this in order to avoid that. So what are some of the considerations people should take into account before they accept a plea deal that the prosecutor is going to offer that's not going to be in their favor anyway?
It usually comes down to one of two different reasons, although there are more. One is what you just touched on before, which deals with the situation of, look, I think if I went to trial, I should be exonerated and found not guilty on everything. But if I lose, my life is basically over, and my family is impacted in 50 different ways, right? And they're giving me an offer that is not fair, that I don't like, and they're using the leverage of the government and the state and all the different prison threats and felonies they have thrown at me, and maybe others that they're just threatening in the background, to take this, and my life can go on with this. In some way, shape, or form, it can go on.
And that's the point I want to make for everyone that's watching as well. Is I'm certainly not advocating just taking the first plea deal or whatever. People have to stop and think seriously about, one, what the prosecutor is offering, and two, like you said, what's going to happen. One of the people that I spoke to was facing 20 years in prison if he went before a jury, and then took a plea deal for disorderly conduct and paid a $270 fine. And everything went away with the $270 check he wrote to the clerk of courts or whoever he had to turn that money over to. To me, that made perfect sense, to take that deal and just, yep, make this go away. You're right, I was disorderly. Here's your $270. Give me my gun back.
Right.
That sort of thing. And again, I don't imagine that there's a bright line anywhere where we can say, yep, now it's time to take the deal, except how will it impact your life?
So that's one way of approaching the question, right? Which is, are they giving me something I can live with? Versus if I take it to trial and lose, no matter the odds of me losing, what does that look like, right? And look, I'm not saying that being convicted of a crime or any crime like disorderly conduct is fun or good day, but relative to a 20-year prison sentence, that's a massive defense win. Massive defense win, okay? Here's kind of the second way people find their way to plea deals. And again, there are others. And it goes something like this. What are they offering me versus what do I think I can achieve realistically at trial, okay? And the reason why, even though this may sound similar, the thought process is entirely different. Because the first people are often in a, if they're giving me something I can live with, I'm gonna take this. So that's like a different way of getting there. The second people are saying, look, if 10 is what I could be convicted of, and 0 is if I'm convicted of nothing, but I think, let's say you're charged with 10 different crimes to make this really easy, right? And they're all the same level felony. Okay, and I think that realistically, I should definitely beat 5 of them at trial, and the other 5, I think I should be, because I believe in my heart of hearts I'm not guilty of it, but I can understand, given what certain witnesses are saying, if I'm convicted of these other 5, okay? So it's like, okay, well, if they're offering me one crime for all of this, it's like, all right, I have a hard conversation with my attorney of, look, I realize I could be convicted of 10, I realize I could be convicted of 0. What's the realistic offer? Because if you are beating the offer by taking your case to trial, and then if you can win, right? Let's say they offer you 5, and you get convicted of 2. You beat the offer.
Right.
Right? Now, you did it at the risk of exposing yourself to everything else, right? But let's say realistically you talk to your attorney and they say, look, you're going to be convicted on these 3 misdemeanors, right? Or we think there's a really high chance you're going to be, but we think we should be able to beat these felonies. They offer you 2 misdemeanors. Okay. Well, your attorney just said you're probably going to be convicted of 3 misdemeanors. So the offer is now probably better than your jury outcome is going to be. So what are you even playing for going to trial at that point, right? That bank the winnings is what you ought to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Take the winnings and move on. You need to be careful about how those plea deals are structured, and that's not really what we're talking about right now. But those are the 2 most common ways that I see people find their way into a plea. Is I can't live with the risk of trial, but I can live with the outcome of a negotiated plea. Or can my plea deal beat what I think I will get at going to a jury trial? So the second group, those people may have a much higher risk tolerance than the first group. The first group, they're thinking all about risk, right? Of I can't live with this possible exposure going to prison forever, but I can take this. So everybody's got a value hierarchy. At the top of their value hierarchy, they typically have risk considerations meant to protect a lifestyle, their family, and so forth. The second group are typically going to be more risk tolerant. They're going to be more willing to do stuff, and they just want to objectively and analytically come to a rational conclusion of, am I better off taking my case to trial or am I not? Now, I mentioned and I alluded to the fact that there can be other reasons why people do not take cases to trial and they enter a plea. Costs is absolutely a huge one. Taking a case to trial oftentimes can take many months and sometimes even years to get your case to actually go to trial. You are missing work, you are paying an attorney, you're paying experts, there's all sorts of costs that go into this, right? So cost it's an uncomfortable subject to talk about, but this is the real world. And that's a big reason why, hey, you might be looking at a 5 to 6 figure check that you're going to have to stroke in order to take your case to trial. So even if they're giving you a bad plea deal, you may not be able to afford to take your case to trial. And I'm not suggesting that that's the way how things ought to be. I'm just saying that's the way how it is.
Yeah, that's how things happen.
Yeah. So there can be other considerations. Maybe you have a sick relative and you really don't want to be I've seen all sorts of things, you know. They don't want to be potentially in jail when, you know, for a funeral or for a wedding or for this or for that. And hey, they're being offered something and, you know, with 3 months jail, and it's like, all right, well, okay, right? So it happens for all sorts of different reasons, but those are the 2 main ways.
And I think what this all boils down to is every case is, in every instance, is different. Each case is unique. But when you're involved in it, you need to have an experienced attorney who understands what's going on. Don't just get your uncle's tax lawyer to help you through your case, because you're going to want somebody who has seen this inside and out and understands this might be the best you're going to get, and we don't know what these 12 people are going to do when they get in the jury box. So
people always think, well, I'll hire my uncle's buddy, and, you know, if it doesn't work out, I can appeal it, right? And it's no. You are baking a cake when you go through your case, all right? If that doesn't rise, it's like the appellate attorney might be able to put some frosting on, they might be able to do some stuff on super rare occasion. We're statistically talking 1%, 2%, likely less percent of the time, they can undo some of the damage or bring you back. But you need to throw everything you got at this the first time around, because most people never see a second. And even if you do, it probably won't undo all of the damage that actually occurred.
Yeah, scary stuff. Well, thanks again for your insight, Tom. Always great talking to you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Did you know we have a secret gun giveaway going on right now? You can enter for free, but it ends really soon. Just click the link in the description below to reveal which brand new gun you could win.